Welcome to Go Big or Go Broke, where you'll learn the method, madness, and making of impactful millionaires. And now, here's your host with the most, Cathy Karabetsos.
Well, hey there, podcasters. I'm Cathy Karabetsos, your host, Go Big or Go Broke. Thank you so much for joining me today. With me, my special guest, founded RipMedia Group in 2007, 20 years of successful experience in sales, marketing, and business development. He started RipMedia Group to produce feature film and commercial marketing media to help others achieve success in business. The company has a defined niche in production services as a digital, commercial, and creative agency. Maury is executive producer of feature films Bedrooms, Enter the Dangerous Minds, theatrically released and run on Showtime, consulting producer at CIMA Productions, new media producer at Cabin 14 Productions, and producer of hundreds of branded and commercial productions. Customers are Kaiser Permanente, Cisco, Comcast NBC Universal, Amgen, Susan Love Breast Cancer Research, and hundreds of more. Maury received his bachelor's from West Virginia University and an executive MBA certification in global technology from Tufts University. He has written The Rise of the Entrepreneur and supplemental workbooks available to businesses via Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Originally from Pittsburgh, he is a Steelers fan, Sorry Bears fans. He works with nonprofit organizations and fundraisers for various charitable organizations. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Maury Rogow. Hey, Maury.
Thank you. You do your homework. Wow, that was a list.
Yeah,
You went deep.
A list, man. It's an impressive list. I hope you know you do all that.
I forget that I've done a lot of those things. I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. And by the way, it was on Showtime and HBO. Don't want to forget HBO.
Got to add HBO in there. Absolutely. Let's get everyone to see it and look for it for sure. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have met a long time ago via our mutual friend, Jeff J. Hunter. Always going to give a shout out to Jeff because he puts me in touch with so many cool people, you being one of them. So, Maury, we're going to jump right in and let's start out with you, the man. Tell us where you came from, who you are, a little bit about your family, and then we'll jump into how you founded the company.
Yeah. So, starting with the end in mind, I mean, the whole thing was fixing a problem, honestly, like I started this company to fix a problem. And then now I'll go back to the beginning. So what was the problem? Growing up in Pittsburgh at the time that I did, it was a time that the steel mills were closing down. We had one thing that we believed in, and I'm not kidding about this, and I'm not going to go into sports too deep here, but we had one thing to believe in, and that was our two sports teams. We're this little city, and we had the Steelers that were crushing it, and nothing else. We didn't have anything. The steel mills were closed. There was a recession. There was massive unemployment. People didn't know what to do. So you rallied behind the one thing you could be proud of, and that's why I'm a huge fan. So that aside, what was going on out there? People weren't able to get jobs. They weren't able to, help their businesses grow. There weren't buyers out there. And I was just sort of, as a kid and then in high school and watching all this, and I just thought I've got to find a way to be able to make a living. I don't want to go work at, selling socks or something like that. Nothing wrong with sock salespeople, but right. We need them. And but that wasn't, sort of my future. So I actually took up, and I have a brother, I have, my mother and my father and that kind of thing. And, they were split up. So it was, it caused some stressful times in different ways. And when I graduated, I did go to college, and then I moved. I went to Washington, D.C., which is kind of the next bigger market. And from there, I started with, at that time, which was a big tech company. And the big tech company in the 90s was like AT&T or IBM. And I found my way in, literally fought my way into AT&T. Okay. So I started at AT&T in their corporate sales division, and just found I had a real knack for it. And it was one of those things that, after a couple months, I wasn't quite getting it. It was very different from what I'd done before. And the guy that sat next door to me kind of sat down, and he's like, look, I just want to let you know, you're on a 90-day plan. I was like, no, I was hired. I'm busy, I'm not a part-time. And he said, everybody, right? Everybody starts off on probation. Remember the guys that were here before? Remember how they're not here? I said, yeah. He said, 90 days. You have 30 days left. What are you going to do with it? And I said, oh my goodness, I am going to do everything I can. And it was, lead generation, biz dev. And I just started coming up with ideas and programs. And it was like that week I just implemented. And I started telling the managers, this is where I learned, you've got to sort of manage your managers. got to let them know I'm going to do this, and then I did this, and here's the result of this. And I came up with a marketing campaign that was, kind of fix your telecommunications. So I put a Band-Aid on every letter. Yeah, it's that long ago, direct mail. I put a Band-Aid on every letter, and then we mailed it out, and then we followed up with a phone call and an email, and started just generating leads like crazy. And they said, all right, you can now be a territory manager. And, for like basically sales. So, it took a few months, and I just started, candidly, I just started winning all the awards. I just love this. I finally found something that I could really do well. There was one other thing in my life that I could do well, and that was karate. I got a black belt in karate when I was, kind of entering college. I'd been in it for years, and that taught me set small goals, achieve it. Set a next goal, belt, and move your way up. It was sort of the same thing. And I have an uncle that kind of reminded me of that. He's like, that experience you had in karate really is helping you now. I said, what do you mean? He's like, you learned how to achieve goals to get to a big goal to get that black belt. And I've just incorporated that into my life. Hit the small goals, get the big goal.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And of course, being a woman, you're a man after my heart, talking about lead generation, old school mailings, and hitting the telephones. And, for those of you who don't know, obviously, I own USA-based call center agency. So this is after my own heart, using the telephone. It's old school, but it's new school, and it's never going away school, in my opinion. So I love that you started there, AT&T being one of our clients over the years. Impressive. We're also vendor relationships. So I love that's how you got your start. Tell us a little bit about your family. You're married, you have children. Tell us a little bit about the man.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. When you were saying tell me about family, I thought you meant like my growing up family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I want everyone to know who you are, the man.
Sure. I have I'm married, and I have a daughter, and she's 2, and she is literally the light of my life. She is amazing, and she is learning multiple languages. She is hilarious and fun and funny and charming and learning new things every single day. And, it's funny. I thought, because I don't have that many. So one thing is we haven't had a girl in my family on the dad's side for 120 years. Oh. So I haven't, since like the 1890s. So I had no idea.
Queen of the family.
Oh, yeah, she is the queen.
I love that. So
definitely the queen of the family. She knows she's got some boss,
I love it.
She knows she's the I do too. I think it's great. And I'm trying to teach her as much as I can to be, in charge, even though she's 2.
I love it.
But she's fantastic. So, we go to swimming class, and we do, all these different things with her, and as much exposure as possible, and take her on as many trips as I can. This kid has probably been to more states and cities than I have by the time I was 15. And I'm not kidding. I mean, she's, Vegas, San Diego, New York, DC, Baltimore, Florida, state, etc. And we just kind of take her on business trips and try to extend for an extra couple of days. And,
Good.
It's been wonderful. Yeah.
I love it. You make it family vacation time when it's business as well. And that's the way that it should be. And that's, I think, as entrepreneurs, we have to make sure we're focusing on the priorities there, which is always family. We're doing it. We do this for our family, right? We certainly have a higher passion and more things to accomplish in the world to change lives. But we always have to come back to first home base, which is our families. And in your case, your wife and your daughter. So thanks for sharing them with us.
Welcome. Thanks for asking.
Of course. So let's chat. How did you go from AT&T marketing master, matchmaking performer, lead generation, the phone guy, developing their business to RipMedia?
Yeah, so it's a fun roller coaster ride. So I'll try to do it fast.
Isn't it always? And everyone needs to know that when you're starting a business, it is a roller coaster. There's no straight line up, down, or sideways.
Oh, absolutely. There was a great quote. It was I just heard recently. It was along the lines of, if you want to find more time by starting your own business, that's the same logic as go ahead and have a baby to get more time in your life, right?
Perfect.
Doesn't happen. And I think the baby and the business are similar. They both will cry all night. They're both going to keep you up. They're both going to stress you out. They both have incredible highs and incredible lows and incredible rewards, incredible pain.
Absolutely.
So from AT&T, I was doing really well. I was really, really happy with it, but I hit a ceiling, and that, I was young, and I was sort of in business development and direct sales. And, the way the quota was, the way the plan was, they wouldn't let me make more than a certain amount. It just really wasn't proper.
Yeah, they worked a little too much more, right? Yeah.
No, they didn't. So they just, we can't change your quota. I said, look, put me on a, zero. I was doing so well. I was like, put me on a zero salary, 100% commission. I'll make so much more, and I kept pushing, and just do anything. And they wouldn't, and gave me little promotions and things like that. So I just said, I got to start taking a look around, because I wonder if what I've learned here is good enough to be at a no-name company. Sure. I wonder if what I'm doing is actually just selling, on the AT&T name. That gets me into doors and that closes deals. And I really had always seen myself running my own business in the future. So I said, I think we're getting to the time. I don't even know, and this is going to be a huge risk. I found a tiny company that actually competed with some very specialized products at AT&T, heavy, high-end, multi-million-dollar call center software and call routing. So the company name was Geotel. I'm so proud of this. I'm still proud to be a part of this company. I literally fought my way in the door to get into this company. I mean, I can tell you stories, but it'd take too long. I got into that company, and that was already, I know I have 90 days. They didn't say I had 90 days. I know, right? From 5 years earlier, I have 90 days. So I just did everything. I met with every single person, learned that presentation up, down, left, right, learned the technical product. And what I found was people loved the technology and they loved the solution, but it took an hour to 2 hours to explain it. And we had a competitor that kept coming in and kicking our tushes. And what they did is they came in, they opened up with this little 90-second video. Yeah. And now it was really rudimentary, this is like 15 years ago or whatever, but really basic video, but it explained their story and their value, and they started winning deals. And I'm like, they were in patent infringing on us. They were doing all these things. So I put a really basic video together, and I put a story together that told what we do in about 2 minutes. And so we started telling that story, and I started telling the story. One of the senior, salespeople and sales managers saw me do it one time and came up to me afterwards. He's like, that was different than what everybody else does. And I said, oh no, here it comes. And he said, can we use that across the nation? Can I use that? And I thought, whoa, that is amazing. Absolutely. I'd be proud. And that's what started happening. So, not just me, but, we all kind of, took part, but we went from, just a couple of deals to 40 million, 45 million in revenue, and then purchased by Cisco Systems for $2 billion.
Well done. I'd say that was a good 90-day run, huh?
Oh, that's sorry. That was about 4 years, but well said, right. The 90 days was just, I know I have my shot. So the big things that I took away from that was telling the story really mattered, getting people emotionally involved. Even big executives at the biggest banks that we have, they buy based on or open a door to you based on emotion. More time with their kids, more time at home, more time, more efficient, get promoted, right? It matters. It wasn't the technical piece. So I took that and I took the storytelling, and then, at that point, there were some highs. We got purchased. I lost 2 years later. I lost everything in the stock market crash. I mean, everything, money-wise, financially. I was ruined. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, at that time, I lost the fiance, I lost the house, I lost the money. Like, oh my goodness. So I regrouped and said, what would I do if it was starting again? I want to move to Hollywood. I would have done that if I had, known it was an option. I'm doing it now. Okay. So I got myself together. Things did come back. I made some good, kind of choices and came out to Hollywood. And I was the guy that took everybody to lunch. You're an actor. What do you do? What's it like? You're a director. What do you do? What's it like? You're a producer. And I thought, wow, this director-producer piece is really, I think, where I could fit in. Wait. And on the way, I did stand-up comedy. I acted. I was in Ocean's 13. I was in Entourage. These are kind of big things back, 5, 10, or 10, 15 years ago, whatever. And Entourage was the thing. That was the TV show on HBO, and I just wanted to be in that, and I got in it. So it was great. And I think my sales ability is the only thing that got me in those doors, because I didn't have any talent.
Yes. Well, your sales ability is really the nurturing relationship side of it, which is rubbing elbows, taking to lunch. You were stepping outside what most people won't do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sharing anything that I could, any knowledge that I had, I would share it with the people that I'm sitting down with. I want to make sure I give them value and give something back. Otherwise, just, can I pick your brain? Well, no, I have no time for that.
I take from you for a little while, I'll pay for lunch.
Right. So I gave lunch and then gave whatever information I could about my world, back. So I got in those movies, and then it was, I had a group of friends and we produced a movie and we got as big a talent as we possibly could in there. And that was the first one. We got that on HBO. And the second one we got into what's called a 4-wall release, which means movie theaters and Showtime, HBO, etc. And I love that. But that was that whole clip there. That was like 5 years. Wow. And I thought 2 movies in 5 years, maybe 10 appearances. I have a shorter attention span than this. I've got to make something happen here. So I said, let me go ahead and take what I've learned back to businesses. Can I bring the sizzle and fix a problem for businesses? And I found, look, products that look complex don't get purchased. You got a problem. You're trying to sell it. You're trying to sell a solution. If it looks complex, people don't get it. And I thought, hey, I know how to make videos. I know how to do animation. Now I've learned all this. Let me see if I can turn the focus from Hollywood to business and brands. And that's what I did. And then we got, the Cisco and Kaiser Permanente and Cedars-Sinai Hospital and, the United Nations called us. We saw your video. Would you do something for us? Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
So that was the beginning.
That's a perfect explanation. First of all, the aha moment and how you got into, and then you decided to go to Hollywood. And it's unfortunate you had to go through misfortune to figure out I could still do this. But it took you to Hollywood, which is super cool. And you had a great run there. So first and foremost, are you doing anything with Hollywood in today's world? Are you still acting? Are you still looking for gigs, so to say, in Hollywood? Or is it pure business now?
That's great. So I'd say I've done a good job of combining the creative itch and Hollywood into my work. So when we're creating, commercials, we do a lot of branded content. I mean, it's all we do really is we're a video first marketing agency. So we take customers' brands through the customer journey, but you really want to do that with video and visual. So some customers pick me to be in their videos. And that's kind of scratching the itch. That feels good enough. I don't need to be on a TV show. I'm all over the web, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you like to be in front of the camera.
I do every now and then. Honestly, I do every now and then. It's not the kind of thing where I'd want to be a full-time actor every day. Sure. It's a little too much exposure, to be honest with you. But, once every couple of months, it's really fun. That's great.
Amazing. Well, it's so wonderful that you can put your passions, your mutual passions together and make them both work for you. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Exciting career. So maybe you could walk us through quickly, Maury, one of your customers, an example of storytelling that you did for them, how you came to know them, what you produced for them, and what was the goal or objective of the campaign, if you will, and what the results that you were able to yield.
Sure. I have a few. The one I'm thinking of right now is kind of a branched off from a high-tech company, a big tech company that branched off from Hewlett-Packard. So it was a division that we helped become their own brand called Keysight. So they kind of branched off. We did this big package of videos, some really big marquee pieces, and then a lot of kind of ongoing content for them. And one of their people had supported the Susan Love Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So they have kind of a philanthropic area. And so they said, look, you've been doing great work for us. Can you call these folks and see if they need any help? I heard that they need some help. So, I gave a call in to the CMO of the Susan Love Breast Cancer Research Foundation. My mother had breast cancer. I called her and I said, have you ever heard of these folks? I think they're pretty big. She said, oh, I've read her book. I read her book when I was going through treatment. It was a huge help. And then now I'm touched. So I said, anything I can do to help these folks, I'm going to do. So fortunately in this case, because about 90% of our customers aren't here in Los Angeles, they're all over the planet, but really all over the nation mainly, but they happen to be in Santa Monica. So I drove over, met with them and asked them, what are your goals? What are you looking to do over the next year? They basically said, we have a lot of huge goals and they put these out there. We need more exposure. We need hundreds of thousands of women and families that are going through treatments. The mom or the sister, daughter going through treatments. The family needs to understand what's happening too, because there's, you go to the web, it's a great way to get scared and misinformation, right?
Of course.
so they said, we want to do a video. And I said, we would love to help out, but let me kind of go back. And I collected all this information and put together a plan. So I said, here's your one video idea, but if it's possible, here's a series idea. Let's put out everything that people need to know. Let's take somebody that's on the journey. And they loved the idea. They went back to their donors and some of the corporate sponsors, and they raised funds. And we're now on our 36th video. So we did this animation series, and it's sort of a takeoff. We pitched this idea of the yellow brick road where, you think life is normal. This woman's going down the path. Life is normal. Life is good. A tornado hits, right? Just like Wizard of Oz. And now you're in a whole different world. And that's how people feel when they get the diagnosis, you have breast cancer. Wow. Just things go silent. It's just crazy. What do I do now? So now I put all this information out there. So they're literally getting hundreds of thousands of views on those, higher donations. They keep coming back for more and deeper information. And it's so gratifying to be able to help them and help more people understand what, women and men are going through as well. And then one of the cool add-ons that they're about to do, we did this for another company as well, is basically we take one of the main videos and we personalize it. So, your name is Cathy, and, where are you again? What city?
Outside Chicago.
Outside, right, Chicago, that's right. So they can have their mailing list integrate into the video. So Cathy, your name will be at the beginning of the video, and we'll incorporate a scene of Chicago into the video. And they did it 22,000 times, their biggest sort of donor list. Incredible. So when people see this, it's personalized. It's also interactive. You can click into the video and learn more. They get 300 to 400% more click-throughs, conversions, donations, and it was amazing. So candidly, I've taken that. I'm very proud of that. I'm focusing on helping nonprofits, but I'm funding it because corporate, I'm actually making it a product so that some corporations pay a very small cost for this interactive and personalized video service, and then we can help the nonprofits.
Sweet. That is beautiful. First and foremost, well done that you are able to help the world while you're providing this amazing service. And that, I think, truly, that's where us as entrepreneurs say, now I could take off. This is where you take off. This is when you see that you have so much momentum forward, is that you're actually helping and you're changing lives with the product or service that you're offering. So well done. Can you give me an example of maybe a more traditional, not for profit in this business environment? Because I'm very intrigued with the concept, and tell us how you've helped them, the business world.
Sure. A great example is, again, we have the big names. I can bring up the Comcast or Lexus, that kind of thing. But I think a better one is this. Oh my gosh, another peer of yours. Actually, I think they're a call center consultancy. They're called Infinity, and they were having a real problem explaining to their customers, Google, AT&T, IBM, why their service is valuable. They had the same problem. Go in there. Even the CEO goes in, does a big PowerPoint presentation, bullet points, boring. Right? Everybody does the same thing, and tell us what you need, that kind of thing. Yep. And they needed to really explain their kind of copyrighted process. Sure. And how it really helps and how it's valuable. And this is a very common story. They look complex, and complex things don't get purchased. Like I said before, we pitched them the idea again of a series, and we started with the first video, and this thing has had amazing impact already. So we worked directly with the CEO of this company because it was really his passion project. And we took their, hour-long presentation, boiled it down, found the biggest aha moments. Yes. We found out very big, unique identifiers and where they're valuable, and we turned it into a story. So you don't just say, here we're valuable because. We actually kind of took it from the customer's perspective, and we came up with a character at a customer location that saw them, and he walks their CEO through the whole process. And he went around shopping and, looked at all these different vendors, and of course he found this amazing value in Infinity. So it's really their brand story told very simply in a beautiful but simple, what we call whiteboard animation. Sure. And this isn't the sort of buy online for $9 stuff. I mean, these are, into the thousands.
Yeah. High ticket item,
Yeah, very much. And now it's, it's on their website. It's in every sales presentation. We're doing different versions for different verticals that they pitch.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And one of the cool things, so it's had a huge impact on leads. It's had a huge impact on sales. And I just got a call from them. They actually want to do more, but they also are going to have me come in and speak to their company about story, how they can tell better stories across their their sales reps, their marketing reps. And I've packaged that up and have done that a few times. So I do like a day, kind of seminar and really go through, and they walk out with, here's how you tell a customer story with, pain, the dream, the solution, the 3-act structure, how to infuse emotion in there, and stop doing bullet points. Nobody buys a bullet point. They buy the better version of themselves.
Absolutely.
That's all people do.
Spot on.
Yeah. So that's been really cool. That's
super exciting. So their end result, can you share with us, they started out with, maybe they were prior to you, pre you, Maury, and post you. They started out with a lead generation issue or item. They wanted to progress. Can you quantify that in some way?
I believe, again, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I believe they went with, when they put this out there, they got, I believe it was an 800% spike in traffic to their website. They got, I believe it was 357% increase in click-throughs. So meaning, leads, forms filled out, that kind of thing. So it's, a 3x return. So if you kind of think about, again, I don't know their exact numbers, but if they were getting 100 leads a month, they got 357 that month, and then it continued on, obviously. But I think they were getting many, many more than 100. I think they're like up in the thousands. So it was a massive spike.
What a great case study. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because it gives us, the audience, an idea of how to apply your services. So what is your most perfect looking customer?
Sure. The perfect customer, I can't say it's, a certain size or shape, but I'll say this. The perfect customer for us really has 3 things. One is they have a complex product. There's something that's really difficult to understand. Maybe it's technical, maybe it's bioscience, maybe it's a mortgage, right? But it's complex. There's a lot of little pieces, different pieces and moving parts and that kind of thing. And the thing that we've found, so that's kind of number one. And typically we do work in the SaaS, software as a service tech and then biotech spaces, because those sort of lend their hands to being a little bit more complex. But what we found is there's 2 things that really matter. The ideal customer is somebody that really has stakes in the game. They really care about helping their company. They're not just doing this because the boss poked the head in, hey, make us a video. You bet, boss.
Right.
Look for it next week, right? That kind of thing. They really want to get their story done right. They really want it to look good. They want it to look like themselves. They want it to be unique and different. And then the second part is that they're collaborative. The best customer, typically, it's like an enterprise company, but, that means, 40 to 200 people. They're not working with, Shy at Day like Apple, that kind of thing that has this massive agency. They really need some help. They're a little short-handed. And that could be a 10-person company that could typically for us, it's between, 40 and 200 people. Sure. We do have those massive companies, but that's the sweet spot because they know they need help. They have some good ideas. They want to collaborate. That's the big second thing. So they really have stakes in the game and they want to collaborate because we're really collaborative. We pitch an idea. We think this is a good path. Do you want to go this route or this route? Like the A/B test when you're at the doctor's office. Do you like this or this? We want the feedback so that they get their story done right. And this becomes not just a one-time thing, but evergreen content.
A true partnership. Yeah, absolutely. You're building it together. I love that so much. So everyone's listening to us today. They know kind of how you're building your brand and how the service that you offer and who you'd love to work with. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to know, Coffee with Cathy and Maury today. They want to hear from you, Maury. You're going big in your own market and industry, and well done at that. Some practical tips or ideas that our audience could take away and saying, Maury shared these ideas. I can go and figure this piece out for me. I too can go big. Any ideas that you can share with the audience today they could take away? And
Absolutely. Two big ones, and I'll make it really easy. After I say it, I'll send you a link, and you could. There's a couple of downloads. I have some workbooks that we work through. People pay us to work through these workbooks to really find their best story, to find how they're valuable. And I'll give you the workbooks, and then and I'll even give you your listeners a free access for a few weeks to the Video Bot, which is the make your own video service I mentioned earlier. So, but here's the thing. You need to get your story right. You need to get it down. And the way to do that is you got to start thinking about what problem you fix for your customers. Like everybody, I know this is basic. I know it. But if you really hone in on who your audience is, who you're really talking to, and then put together the solution that you solve in their lives, you are head and shoulders above your competition. Most people are trying to go big and go wide. And, go big is good.
Yes.
But go wide, and the audiences might know, nope. You have a specific niche that you can crush. You can crush it in this niche.
Go big, absolutely.
And then you go bigger and wider and wider. So I'll give you the rules, the stuff. You've got to be sexy, touching, unique, funny, or deliver fear. If you don't deliver the stuff, one or two of those, sexy, touching, unique, funny, or fear, in the hearts and minds of your viewers, they're going to think you're a nice to have, not a must have.
I love that you have a list that you can choose from. That is exceptional.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it took me, like I said, I moved here, and I moved here as a student. Let me just learn everything I could. So I watched every movie. I read all the books from Save the Cat to, et cetera. And I met Al Pacino. I met, George Clooney, these people. And it wasn't like I sat down with this conversation, but I picked up pieces from all of them, and I realized these are the scenes that people remember for the rest of their lives, from The Godfather, from Avatar. And what did they have in them? They had a nugget of STUFF. It was unique. It was sexy or sizzled. It was really, glamorous or something like that. It touched the heart, or it was really funny, or it made me scared. And that can work in commercials and branded content too.
I absolutely love that. STUFF. That's fabulous. Just great. Yeah. Our audience is going to want to know how to get, I could spend hours talking to you because I'm completely intrigued, and offline we'll have to get together more and follow up with one another. And certainly we'll add all of this to the show notes. Our audience is going to want to know how to find you personally. How can they find you?
Happy to. So I'm certainly on LinkedIn. It's MAURYROGOW. The company name is RipMedia Group. The new brand that anybody can afford is the Video Bot. And that will you can make your own video in 37 seconds. You're going to be making them in personalized and interactive video, totally unique on the marketplace, launching that now. And then, of course, RipMedia Group is where we do the higher end, the really high quality video, animation, and video for brands. So those would be the three best ways, plus my email, which I'll give you, and we can put it down there to make it clickable.
I love it. So if you're a growing brand and you want to personalize and get real and tell your story, Maury is the guy to go to. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. This has been absolutely enlightening. I really appreciate your story. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It's absolutely been my pleasure. Well, podcasters, thank you again for joining us today. Please subscribe to the show by clicking that big red subscription button, and kindly rate the show. Share it out to all your friends so they too can go big. I am Cathy Karabetsos, and you can find me at cathykarabetsos.com on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Have a grateful day and go big.
You've been listening to Go Big or Go Broke with Cathy Karabetsos. If you enjoyed this episode, then you better play big and hit that subscribe button.